Okay, so welcome everyone. Thank you everyone for taking the chance to join us today. I'm Adam Graham. I'm the MD here at Qlic IT. And at Qlic, over the last 5 years, since COVID, 6 years now, we've seen many organizations that are either still stuck with on-premise servers or forced to move to the cloud during lockdown. And they have some kind of limbo between different solutions, different platforms, leaving users, team leaders, managers confused and struggling to get to grips with the cloud. But today we're going to be looking at moving to the cloud, maximizing the platform you're using, and making the most of any charity donations and discounts available. So I'll kick things off with a quick introduction for those who don't know who we are. So we are Qlic IT for Charities, and we're passionate about helping charities and not-for-profits with their IT. We have over 20 years experience in the sector. So we started in 2002 and have grown into one of the UK's leading MSPs for the charity sector. We're a team of 45 professionals supporting 350 organisations, and the majority of those are charities. We offer managed and co-managed IT support, cloud and cyber security solutions, Teams telephony, VoIP, mobile and broadband solutions, and all of the services are tailored for the charity sector, looking at reliability, cost effectiveness, and making them flexible for remote and hybrid teams. Our ethos is to deliver human-centered, mission-driven technology, making technology support your cause, not the other way around. We really want to have that human side of things to technology. So what does a modern cloud-first setup mean? And what does it look like? It's not about one specific product or brand, it's about a way of working. A cloud-first organization is one where your people, data, and systems are no longer tied to a single office, server, or device. Everything your team needs is available securely from anywhere, whether it's at home, in the community hub, or on the move. The focus shifts from maintaining equipment to enabling people, and your IT becomes invisible and a backbone that supports your mission rather than getting in the way. So in practical terms, that means collaboration from anywhere. Staff, volunteers can access shared files, calendars, and conversations in real time. No need for VPNs or emailing attachments back and forth. Automatic updates and maintenance. Systems you rely on update themselves in the background, meaning you're always using the latest, most secure versions. Integrated security and compliance. Features like two-factor authentication, data encryption, and access controls are built in, helping you stay compliant with GDPR and sector standards. Flexible working, so whether your team is office-based, hybrid, or fully remote, the experience is seamless. Everyone has the same tools, data, and access. With built-in resilience, files and systems hosted securely in the cloud, your data is protected against hardware failure, fire, theft. Backups are continuous, and disaster recovery takes minutes, not days. We talk about lower cost as well and greener impact, so no physical servers to power or cool. You can save money on energy bills and reduce your carbon footprint. Something many funders are finding increasingly valuable. So imagine what this could look like in your own organization. Your fundraising team and project leads can collaborate on a campaign without worrying about version control. Trustees can securely access board papers from anywhere. Volunteers can join training sessions online from their phones. Instead of worrying about technical issues, your staff can focus on delivering services and supporting beneficiaries. A cloud-first approach isn't just about technology, it's about culture. It's about creating an organization that's flexible, secure, and ready for whatever comes next. So as I said before, we work with over 350 not-profits across the UK, from small community charities to large national organisations. And we've noticed some really clear trends in how the sector has approached the cloud, both the successes and the sticking points. First, some charities are still relying on aging on-premise servers. These are becoming increasingly expensive to maintain and support, especially as parts become harder to source and warranties expire. I'm not sure if you're aware of the current RAM shortage globally. That's making things very expensive if you have on-premise servers. Often organizations tell us they're planning to replace it next year, but next year turns into the year after and the year after. Secondly, there was a big push to the cloud during lockdown, but it was rushed. Many charities had to move quickly just to stay operational. Staff were using Microsoft Teams or maybe Zoom from home, but often without a proper setup, no permissions, no training, which led to misconfigurations, weak passwords, and data being stored in places no one could quite keep track of. And lastly, we're seeing multiple platforms. A charity might have Microsoft 365 for email, Google Workspace for file storage, and Zoom for meetings. It's well-intentioned. Everyone just picked up the tools that worked at the time, but it's created duplication, confusion, and gaps in security. So fragmented systems mean fragmented data. That leads to inefficiency, poor collaboration, and increased cybersecurity risks. Every platform is another potential vulnerability. So what can we learn from all this? The charities that are thriving in the cloud are the ones who've taken time to consolidate, to step back and to streamline. Use one well-managed cloud platform as their foundation, bringing everything under one roof, whether that's Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, or another single system. They've been able to improve visibility, tighten security, and make life simpler for staff. And I invite you to think about your own organization for a second. How many different tools are your staff using to store or share files? How many versions of the same spreadsheet exist across those systems? How confident are you that every folder has the right permissions? Are they using different AI tools, built into different systems, different pieces of software to manage different programs or services? If any of those questions make you hesitate, you're not alone. And that's exactly where we are today and how we can start consolidating and making a real difference. So I'll take a quick look at the main cloud platforms charities are using today. There isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. It depends what's right for you, or for your organization, depending on your size, structure, and how your teams work. Broadly speaking, most non-profits fall into one of a few ecosystems: Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, maybe a bit of Amazon Web Services, Dropbox, and obviously I mentioned Zoom as well. And each service serves a slightly different purpose, and understanding the differences helps you choose wisely rather than following what everyone else is doing. So here's how they compare in practice. So 365 is by far the most widely used in the sector, and that's for a good reason. It brings together email, collaboration, storage, and security all in one place. Most staff are already familiar with Outlook, Word, Excel, and Teams. That brings minimal retraining. The non-profit offering is incredibly generous. Business Basic is still completely free, and Business Premium includes advanced security and device management at about an 85% discounted rate. So Google Workspace, again, is very simple and great for charities that love the Google ecosystem. Brilliant for teams that are very collaborative, mobile, and prefer working entirely in the browser. Again, the core edition is completely free, and similarly to Microsoft, the Business Standard and Plus versions are a significant discount. Now, there are a couple of others, as I mentioned. So there's AWS, Amazon Web Services, which can be used for sort of hosting databases and cloud applications. Dropbox, again, a very much a file storage platform, and things like Zoom for meetings and collaboration. All of those have their own not-for-profit offerings, but again, they all offer a niche in a sector, not a full package like Google and Microsoft. So which one is right for you? The takeaway here isn't that any of these tools are the right choice. It's more that they should be used strategically. The important thing is to make a deliberate choice, one that aligns with your people, processes, and long-term goals. So if your organization is using several of them, say Dropbox for files, 365 for Word and Excel, and Google for email, that's where the red flags are. It means the staff are wasting time figuring out where things live instead of doing their work, and increases your cyber risk dramatically. So why do we want to consolidate? It's very common for organizations to end up with a bit of everything. Microsoft here, Dropbox there, Google accounts for an old project, someone's shared some files in the past. That kind of mix and match setup often happens naturally over time, especially when teams adopt what they need to get the job done. So here's the challenge. As your organization grows, these multiple platforms start to create complexity, security gaps, and unnecessary costs. What does it mean? Each extra system you use is another doorway that needs securing. If your staff are using multiple logins across different platforms, it's much harder to enforce good password hygiene and make sure that everything has multi-factor authentication. When files are spread across different systems and several systems, it's difficult to know where everything lives. That makes GDPR really tricky and increases the risk of data being shared or stored incorrectly or inadvertently with the wrong people. People waste time figuring out which platform to use, staff confusion, storing the same document in two different places, duplication of data, version control, conflicts and frustration for teams. And if staff have to learn and switch between multiple platforms, it becomes harder to train them properly on keeping everything aligned. One system is one way of working. And then there's hidden costs. Duplicate licenses across many platforms means you're paying for tools you don't fully use. Simplifying into one system almost always brings financial savings. There's hardware compatibility as well. So things like laptops and phones can perform differently depending on the platform. If your Apple devices work really well with Google, and then Microsoft and Windows devices work really the best together. And obviously you have Chromebooks as well. So again, we're using the right device, the right platform, the right hardware, consolidating everything. And then we can, what can that achieve is we can focus on one platform, and they can make everything simpler. One login, one training path, one place to collaborate and share. Security improves, costs go down, and staff spend less time chasing files and more time focusing on your mission. We're not talking about an IT project here, it's a cultural project as well. It helps everyone in the organization feel more connected, more efficient, and more confident that the tools they use are secure and reliable. How many different systems are your charity using today? And how many do they really need? How much smoother could life be if everything worked in one place? It's amazing how many people we've had to look at this for over the last 12, 24 months, still looking at multiple ecosystems. So now we're trying to understand why it makes sense to bring everything together. So how do we actually do it? So consolidating to one platform isn't something that happens overnight, but it's also not as daunting as it sounds. The key is taking a phased, well-planned approach. Whether you're moving from Google to Microsoft, merging multiple systems into one place, or simply cleaning up what you already have, the same principles apply. So I've broken it down to 5 clear stages of doing this correctly. Firstly, we want to understand your current setup. Start by reviewing what you have, where your data is stored, which systems are used, and who's using them. It's amazing how often we find 5 different versions of the same folder in different tools, mapping everything out as the foundation for a smooth transition. Defining the core platform, deciding which cloud environment will become your home base. For most charities, it's 365, but it might be Google, it might be something else. The key is to make a conscious decision rather than letting it evolve by accident. Plan a structured migration. Break down the project into stages and have everything ready in place for your migration. Communicate your timeline clearly so everyone knows what to expect. You might want to move your email first, the files and folders next, and your telephone or your cloud platform, cloud communication platform last, or do it all in one go. But again, making sure communication and training is really important. Change is always easier when people understand why it's happening. Share the benefits, address concerns, and involve staff early. Offering short, practical training sessions, easy to follow guides, so that everyone feels supported. And then you want to really review and optimize once you've migrated. So once you're live, take time to review how everything's working, gather feedback, and fine-tune the permissions and structures. This last step ensures new setups keep improving rather than drifting back into old habits. So what does it mean for your organization? This means the consolidation does not have to be disruptive or overwhelming. About progress, not perfection. Each step brings more clarity, better security, and less complexity. If you're wondering where to start, I suggest beginning with a consultation with your team or staff to review existing platforms that are in use and the benefits of which platforms you want to migrate to. And remember, you don't have to go it alone. Partner with an MSP like ourselves, who understands the sector, can save you time, reduce risk, and make for a smoother transition for everyone. I've talked about a lot of technology, but let's be honest, the hardest part of any cloud project isn't the systems, it's the people. You can have the most secure, well-designed setup in the world, but if your staff aren't comfortable using it, or they're resistant to change, the benefits will never be fully realized. Successful cloud adoption is about culture just as much as it is about configuration. That's why preparing your staff is absolutely key. Here's what we've seen that makes the biggest difference across the hundreds of organizations we've worked with. Communication early and often. Don't surprise people with change. Bring them on the journey, explain why the move is happening, and crucially, what's in it for them. Explain about faster logins, easy collaboration, less technical issues, and when staff understand the benefits to their daily work, they're much more likely to engage positively. Build buy-in at every level. It's important that trustees, senior management, and frontline staff are all aligned. Leadership sets the tone, but it's the staff on the ground who will make or break the adoption. So again, identifying potential champions in each department, people who can act as the go-to for questions and encouragement. They can act as your digital leaders, internal advocates, staff or volunteers who enjoy technology and can help others along the way. Having a peer show you how something works is often much more effective than hearing it from your IT partner or team. It creates a sense of shared ownership. Investing in training and support is hugely important. Training doesn't need to be formal or expensive, it just needs to be practical. Short workshops, easy to follow guides, and quick videos that show you how to perform common tasks. Then make sure staff know where to go for help after go live. The reassurance of quick, friendly support makes a huge difference. Start by thinking about your internal influencers. Who are the staff members that people naturally turn to for advice? And then plan how you communicate the change, keep it positive, transparent, focused on impact. Finally, don't treat training as a one-off event. Cloud keeps evolving, so should your people. Create a culture where learning is continuous, and your team will stay confident long after the migration is complete. When your team feels supported, technology stops being a hurdle and becomes a tool for empowerment. So I'm going to pivot slightly, and although we are both Google, Amazon, Microsoft partners, I really want to touch on why Microsoft 365 has been the strongest choice for charities in my experience over the last 15, 20 years. Over 90% of our charity clients use Microsoft 365, and that's because it's simple, cost-effective, and the easiest platform for staff to get to grips with. A platform that brings everything together. Most charities are already using some form of Microsoft software, whether it's Outlook, Word, or Excel, or they have a Windows PC. Microsoft 365 unites all of those tools into a single cloud environment. It's built for flexibility, collaboration, and security. So whether you've got 5 staff or 500, Microsoft 365 scales effortlessly within the organization. You can add new users or devices in minutes, and easily support hybrid or remote teams. Most users are already familiar with Word, Excel, and Outlook, so the learning curve is minimal. That means you can roll out modern systems without having to retrain everyone from scratch, which is hugely important. All the tools talk to each other. Teams links directly with SharePoint and OneDrive. Outlook calendars sync with Teams meetings. Planner integrates with To-Do. All of these systems are part of a connected ecosystem, which removes duplication and wasted effort. Security and compliance is built in. So features like multi-factor authentication, data encryption, device management, all come as standard, giving charities enterprise-grade protection without the price tag. The non-profit licensing is the most generous charity discounts available. Business Basic is completely free, as I said before. Business Premium, although they've removed the 10 free licenses, you're still getting that at 85% discount. And that adds all the advanced security tools, all of the software, all of the systems, and it's a really good place for a charity to start. But what does this mean for your charity? It means that you can have a single unified system that improves collaboration, reduces risk, and fits your budget. Staff can work from anywhere, documents are always backed up, and you're no longer paying for multiple tools. For most charities, it's the path of least resistance and the greatest reward. What you want to do is build on what you're already familiar with and trusted with. If your team are already using Google, then great, Google's for you. But Microsoft 365 is the most common because people are most used to the system. And it gives you that foundation, which is secure, integrated, and ready to grow. So how can we maximize Microsoft 365 once you've made the move? It's one thing to talk about collaboration and productivity, but what really transforms a charity's day-to-day operations is learning how to use the right tools in the right way. 365 isn't just Word, Excel, and Outlook anymore. It's a complete productivity suite, an ecosystem built to save time, reduce admin, and improve communication. Here are some of the tools that are making the biggest difference for the charities we work with. Obviously, Microsoft Teams is the absolute beating heart of collaboration. Staff can chat instantly, run meetings, share files, co-edit documents, all of it in real time. It can replace endless email chains and brings everything and every department into one virtual workspace. Microsoft Forms, again, is a simple and powerful way to gather feedback, event sign-ups, internal surveys. You can connect it to tools like Power Automate to trigger next steps. So notifying a staff member when someone registers for a workshop, things like that. Planner and To-Do is perfect for task and project management. You can assign actions after a team meeting, track deadlines, and see a progress at a glance. A lot of charities we work with use it for grant tracking and campaign planning. We're really good for that. Bookings is great for charities that want to schedule meetings with clients, volunteers, or partners, or lets beneficiaries book time directly into your calendar, reducing the back and forth of emails. You can just send the link, click the link, book the time in around your existing schedule. And there's OneNote. OneNote is fantastic. It's a digital notebook, keeps everything together in one place, meeting minutes, shared agendas, recording ideas, whether you're using it on mobile apps, laptops, desktops. Teams working across sites can keep a shared OneNote. Everyone's on the same page. And then I'll talk about Copilot. Obviously, that's the big next step where productivity comes in. I imagine a lot of you have used AI already or using it day to day. But again, using Microsoft Copilot is built into your Microsoft tool suite. It's an assistant that's designed to help you work smarter, and you don't have to buy a separate license to start exploring it. The free version of Copilot is already available in your browser and in Teams. Please start looking at that today if you're not already. You can use it to draft emails, summarize text, brainstorm ideas, and create social media posts. Integrated with the free web versions as well of Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. So again, if you're using those, although you might want to pay for a full license, you're using Word online or Excel online, you can use it to look at those documents for you and help summarize text or help you build content. You can rewrite content, summarize reports, or turn bullet points into polished paragraphs. So I'm not going to have time to go in depth into each of these tools, but we have got you covered. So over on our YouTube page, we've got loads of webinars that we've previously done. And over the next 6 months, we've got at least one monthly brunch bite dedicated to each of these tools, whether that be quick wins in Microsoft Teams, SharePoint versus OneDrive, which one's better and how do you use them, Copilot Chat, Microsoft 365 Copilot and Copilot Studio, empowering your team with AI, mastering Outlook and bookings, looking at Teams essentials and how you use Teams best, and unlocking all the productivity suite. So again, we have loads of those already on our YouTube, and we're having at least a monthly webinar, a monthly brunch buy for the next 6 months on all of these tools. You'll be able to get those on our website or via our newsletter. Finally, we'll talk about something that often gets overlooked when organizations move to the cloud, and that's your phone system. For many charities, telephony is still running completely separate from everything else. An old phone system on the wall, maybe some desk phones, maybe a large mobile phone contract, and no one's really looked at it for years and it's been left in the dark. Teams telephony completely changes that. It turns Microsoft Teams into a full cloud phone system, meaning calls are made and received directly inside the same tool your staff are already using. But what does that look like in practice? First, calls can be made on any device from anywhere. Whether someone is at home or in the office or working from a community location, their phone number goes with them. There's no call forwarding, no personal mobiles, no missed calls because someone isn't at their desk. They can get the calls from anywhere, whether it be the Teams app on their mobile phone, the Teams app on the desktop, or the Teams app on their laptop. Secondly, it supports office-based, hybrid, and fully remote teams from one central platform. That's really important in the charity sector. Flexible working is essential. We see that still more than any other sector we've worked in. In the charity sector, people are 75 to 80% remote. And it's really important for staff wellbeing and retention. And third, it removes the need for desk phones and separate phone systems. You can still have a desk phone if you need it, but you don't have to have a desk phone, and that's really important. Many organizations find they can dramatically reduce hardware costs. Staff can just use headsets or mobile apps instead. You're gaining modern features that legacy systems can struggle with. So smart call routing, auto attendance, making sure the right calls go to the right person, voicemail delivered straight to your email, call recording, auto attendance and call queues that make sense. And we can also integrate with CRM systems or case management systems. So you can go into things like Salesforce, Charity Log, etc. Giving staff instant context about who's calling and saving notes directly back into the system. Things like AI summaries and sentiments. So if someone puts a call in to one of your team, you can get an instant AI summary of the call and the sentiment to see how was the call going. Was it a positive call? Was it a negative call? Was it a complaint? That kind of thing. Those things are really, really easy and to then track into your CRM system. It's all about simplicity. Instead of juggling email in one place, chat in another, and meetings in another, and phone somewhere else entirely, everything lives inside Teams. One platform, one login, one experience. This reduces complexity, cuts costs, and makes life easier for staff who don't want to think about technology. They just want to answer phone calls and help people. And I encourage you to think about your current setup. How old is it? How flexible is it? How expensive is it? How much time and money is it costing to keep it running separately? For many charities, moving telephony into Teams is one of the quickest wins for modernizing their OT. It's familiar, it's flexible, and it fits perfectly into a cloud-first way of working. So I want to bring everything we've discussed to life with a real example from one of our clients, Homestart East Surrey. They're a fantastic organisation supporting families and young children across the region. But like many charities, they were being held back by outdated IT systems. The challenges might sound familiar to some of you. When we first met them, they were relying on a single on-premise server. That meant staff couldn't work remotely, the systems were fragile, and if something went wrong, everything stopped. They were tied to a one-man band as their IT provider, which created a single point of failure. There were no system integrations, nothing for file sharing, communication. Each staff member had a slightly different way of storing documents. And this result was, they were inefficient, data duplication, frustration for people. And they knew they needed to modernize, but were understandably nervous about the disruption. So we started with a full audit of what they had, understanding how they worked and what mattered most. And then we designed a complete migration around Microsoft 365. We moved all their email Microsoft 365, enabling secure and flexible remote working. We introduced SharePoint for centralized collaboration and document storage. Deployed Microsoft Intune to manage devices securely, so they can protect data, but the laptops are in the office, at home, or on the move. We set up data backups, so they had cloud-to-cloud backups to make quick recovery if anything went wrong. Then we upgraded their telephone system to Teams calling, integrating calls directly into the same platform the staff are already using. And lastly, obviously, we provided ongoing support and account management to ensure everything was continuous and they had people to call on if they had any issues. The results were transformational. Homestar East RE now has stronger security, business continuity, everything is protected and recoverable at any time. They've got a more efficient hybrid model. Staff can access everything securely from anywhere. And they've got consistent collaboration. Everyone works on the same version of a document, and that can be shared by Teams and SharePoint. It's the same document, same files, same system. And they're no longer dependent on a single provider or piece of hardware. Systems are scalable, reliable, and ready to grow. What we really want to highlight is everything moving to the cloud isn't just about technology. It's about liberating the team, giving everyone the tools they need and the freedom to focus on the real mission of the charity and unlocking productivity. We're sitting there thinking, this sounds like us. It's great. The good news is this is the kind of transformation that's entirely achievable step by step with the right plan and support.